episode 236, Ultraman, Florida, with Julian Summers. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pursuit of the Perfect Race. Today I'm talking with Julian Summers about his recent race at Ultraman, Florida that took place on February 15th through the 17th, and he got to experience some really chilly water of 62 degrees, and he got to finish this race for the first time this year. Welcome back to the show, Jules. I look forward to talking about your race, man.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to get going and let you know how it all went.
Awesome, man. So what made you want to even do this race in the first place before we get into the weeds with it all, man?
Doing Ultraman was I'm someone at the pool one day. I was training for my first Ironman and happened to chat with this guy next to me, and he told me about the distances, and I thought that's kind of how I felt when I was doing my first Ironman. It was just something so impossible, and like, can I really do that? Probably not. So it's just such a crazy challenge, and I really love trying to do something that pretty much for me is impossible. So, and I was connected through this guy. So once I found out what it was, I started researching it, and then I went ahead and applied for 2018.
But you didn't do it in 2018?
No, because December 27th or 28th, I was out on a run, and I hit a weird part of the sidewalk and basically fractured my left foot. So I had to take at least 2 weeks recovery, at least 2 to 3 weeks. And at that point, actually really wasn't well trained anyway. So it was just complete handbrake. And we just decided, the coach and I decided that it wasn't worth trying to do it. So I just went and volunteered instead. So I broke my foot, so I couldn't train. And I was kind of behind anyway, to be honest. I wasn't probably ready, even if I hadn't broken my foot. And so then I just went ahead and volunteered. So because I already had my flights, my hotels, everything was set up. So instead of walking away, I went out there and said, well, let me take this as a learning opportunity. I went out and met some great people that you've interviewed, Morgan and Rich and Chris Pollock, all those guys, and kind of just became part of the family from a helping perspective. And so I thought I'll take that into the following year, and then I just reapplied. So that's basically what happened.
Okay. So I know you did the double last year from Maryland to Chattanooga, and you also did Arizona and countless other Ironmans last year. But going into this race, it was a little bit different with the training. I know you did some 8-hour trainer rides and some longer runs. Even you did like a 5-mile run before a marathon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you did some weird stuff in training to get ready for this. How was your training overall?
Training was fantastic. I think we've covered this in the last podcast, but I didn't ever really train for Ironman, and it's always just like haphazard. My schedule doesn't allow it, and I realize always that I'm going to suffer on race day, and I'm fine with it. But this was different. There was no way. I don't want to say you can con your way through an Ironman, but you can sort of con your way through. You can't con your way through Ultraman. And I spoke to the coach, and he said, "Well, this is going to take a different approach." So I basically did what he said. It didn't go according to plan, but I got, like you said, I got a couple. I did 2 big runs where I ran 5 miles before a marathon, the Carlsbad, and then 5 miles before the Surf City. So I landed up running 31 miles at one race and 32 the next. And that sort of set me up to believe potentially that I could run 52.4 miles. I know it sounds dumb, but it was crazy. And then the bike, I did lots of bike. Probably about at least 8 or 9 indoor rides of 5 to 8 hours or more. And then the swimming was a problem because swimming in the wetsuit really affects my back. We haven't quite figured out what that is. So there was a few big weekends I was supposed to ride. I didn't ride because I almost couldn't get out of bed. My back was so sore. So my swimming was almost non-existent. I mean, I swam maybe maybe 25,000 yards over 3 or 4 months. I mean, there were guys doing 10,000 yards on a Friday, for 6 months.
Wow. So, I mean, to say you had confidence in the swim, you really didn't, but you also kind of went into this knowing that, hey, this could potentially put you completely out of the race because swimming with a wetsuit hurts your back to a big degree.
Tell me if this works. So last year I did all those Ironman races. I think I did 8 or 9 plus a half. Was all training for Ultraman. There was the only way I could do it. So and I'm trying to qualify for Kona. So it was like a double whammy. And the swim has become a problem for me. And I used to think it was the bike and the run. And then one day I figured out that it wasn't the bike and the run. It was actually the swim. It doesn't make sense, but I don't use my legs as much as I'm supposed to. I maybe don't have the correct form. And I got out in Arizona. I was in the T1 tent, and I got my change bag, my T1 bag, and I had to get a volunteer to basically help me put my shoes on because I couldn't bend down. And then they almost pulled me from the race. They were like, "No, we can't let you get on the bike." And I was like, No, spasm. It wasn't a back spasm. It was absolute pain. And then once I got on the bike, I think the first 10 miles was brutal, but then being bent over kind of loosened up my back. Sounds dumb. So yes, going into this whole event for me was just get through the swim. If I can get out of the swim and be half intact, I've got a chance. And I don't know how it happened, but it happened that way.
Man. So going into this race, what was your longest swim, bike, and run workouts? Just to kind of get an idea of what that volume really looks like with the training.
Okay, so for me, the longest swim I did was a broken up swim of I think 4,000 in the morning, maybe 5,000 in the evening. And that's actually the one that triggered my back, that I was basically out the following weekend. That's the biggest I had, was about 9,000. I had a lot of 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000s about 3 months ago, 3 months before the race. But then about a month before the race, I did this one long workout, 9,000, and we basically said, you can't swim anymore because it took me almost 2 weeks to recover. And I lost a very big bike run weekend because when you're training for Ultraman, you have to try and simulate fatigue. And so you'd swim a lot, you bike, and then you bike again, and then you run. So that I was in those marathons. Well, I couldn't even get out of bed, literally. So we decided, let's just forget the swimming. Let's get back onto the bike, because without the bike, I'd be gone. And then just hopefully wing the swim. That was the plan. And that's what we did.
Man, what about strength training? Were you in the gym lifting weights or doing?
Yes, have a strength trainer. Her name's Erica. She's part of my team. She's amazing. We were trying to fix the problem. We still haven't quite diagnosed what the problem is. We may have actually figured it out this time, but it could be a combination of my wetsuit was a little bit. I probably should have been in a medium tall, and I was in a medium, so it's pulling my shoulders down. Number one. Number two, I have core weakness. I'm not really a very good athlete, so I'm weak in my psoas and my core. And then also, for the longest time, I wouldn't really use my legs very much. So we think that it created that arch in my back when you're swimming. So and reciting, you lift your head up, your legs are floating above your hip basically, and you create this banana curve, and that just puts so much pressure on the lumbar area. And plus, I'm not a very good swimmer, so it was probably a combination of all of those things. And then we tried, we did strength, we did, it was just sort of maintaining. It didn't really seem to help. And then what did help was I went to a fascia release massage lady for a while, and she knows nothing about swimming, but she was doing some extensions on my legs and to try and simulate the pain. And she made an interesting comment. She said, I told her, don't use my legs very much because I'm trying to save them, whatever stupid idea that is. She said, I actually think you should try and engage your legs periodically through the race, through the swim. So that's what I did. And I'm going to do it again because I got out of the water. I had no pain. It was insane. I can swim 2 miles in the pool and I can't walk. I think I swim 6.2 in the lake and I can get out and go bike like nothing happens. It's very perplexing, but that's what happened.
Wow. So we talked about your life, work, and training balance in the previous episode where we talked about your double back-to-back. Has anything really changed since then?
You mean with regards to training?
No, just in regards to your life. Have you got a new job or done anything different? I know you're traveling right now, but
I still work for myself, and Nothing's changed. Only thing that changed training-wise is I literally have my alarm set for 3:45 in the morning, and I pretty much wake up at 3:45 in the morning now. So
Gosh.
I was doing all my workouts. Yeah, I was doing 4 hours before 8 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Wow. So that's like a normal day then?
Yep.
Man.
Became normal.
So
the whole thing about Ultraman is you have to change your normal. And I sort of realized that once I was talking to Coach, and he made it very clear that there's no way you can show up at this race and just think you're going to gently cycle, gently swim, and gently run through it without real serious prep. And even with real serious prep, it was fraught with disaster. So I just resigned to myself the fact that this is going to be hard. It's going to suck. I've got to get up really early. And luckily I had a lot of friends support. So, but there were days, 3:45 in the morning, I got up and like, this is ridiculous. This is dumb. My back's hurting. Why am I going to the pool? So, but now it's all worth it. At the time, it was like, this is not worth it, man. I don't think I can do this.
So what is it about doing this that just gives you that fire to keep doing it?
You know, I said it so we had a little acceptance. We each got 3 minutes at the acceptance speech once we received our award at Ultraman. And I said it, and it's actually true, that it's basically I do it for the people. The people that I've met through the sport the last 2 years, you're a good example. I mean, I met you, and then suddenly you were at Kentucky helping volunteer. I mean, you're a good example. But all the people that I've met, so it's like I have to do this in order to meet the people. And I made a joke at the acceptance speech that if I'd only known what a Sherpa was, then I could have done the same thing without the bike, swim, and the run. But I only found that out a little bit later, so now I can't go to Sherpa. But that was my joke.
Wow.
So it's basically for the people. I mean, you know, you go out to these places, you know, so many friends, so many people who are doing stuff that they probably shouldn't be doing, and you know, pushing limits, and you know, there's so many stories and so much adversity. But it all comes down to the relationships. I could tell you every Ironman and the Ironman Ultramans I've been to. I can't remember the course. I can remember the distances, but I can remember who I met, what funny things happened, what things happened. It's all about I can't remember. I can sometimes mix up races with the people. I'm like, hey, we did that. That's when we did that. No, that was in Florida. I'm like, oh, whatever. Okay.
Wow.
So, whichever race it was, doesn't care.
Man, so I know you live in California. This race is obviously in Orlando, Florida, or Clearmont, whatever you want to call it. It's in Florida. When did you actually start traveling from California to Florida? Well, even before that, when did you start packing all your stuff to go down to Florida?
So one of the things I've always had to do, we talked about this last podcast, is I have to have all of my stuff together in order to have any chance of success. I can't show up there and have a bad pair of running shoes. You know, I don't have that luxury. And same as nutrition. So I had all my stuff bought and paid probably at least 2 or 3 months before, minus a couple of little bits and bobs. I physically only packed, I think, the night before, and I left on Monday. So we had to be there by Wednesday. So I decided, because of last year when I went and I was only going to go Wednesday, I realized that wasn't enough time just to acclimate, just to get your mind in the game. So I left on Monday. I arrived in Florida Monday evening, and I spent Monday evening and Tuesday with my friend John Reardon, who's an Ultraman, and he welcomed me into his house. This is what Ultraman people do. He welcomed me into his house, took me out for dinner, tried to rib me a little bit, but calm me down too. And then, gave me some tips, and he's an Ultraman. And then, and then Wednesday, basically all the shenanigans began. All the crew flew in that day. Well, actually 2 flew in. The one flew in the next day, and then one came in on Saturday. So yeah, I got a week before. Wow.
So after you got there, or let's just fast forward a little bit through the week there, all the crews there, you're going up to the hotel to go through get all your gear, check in, all that. What is this process like, and what's your emotions like going through this?
Oh, Lord. So for me, I really don't like waiting around. Like, if I could rock up at an Ironman at 6 o'clock in the morning, register and go, I would do that. Like, I don't like to be there 3 or 4 before. So this was really hard because I was there a week before. So emotions-wise, I mean, obviously I was very worried about my back. It's petrifying. I mean, you're trying to keep the thoughts out of your mind about what you're going to do. And it's easy when you're at home because I can play with the kids and I can watch some TV. But when you're at Ultraman and you're there and everyone around is Ultraman a week before, it's like, oh crap, this is happening, So it was a tough time. Actually, I struggled until the crew came because I felt like I was very alone. But then Alan arrived and that took a huge load of my mental state. And then Jess arrived and then Juan arrived the next day. So once the crew sort of came, I was okay, but I was nervous. I was first time ever 2 days before the race. So Wednesday night and Thursday, I actually it was the first time I felt sick to my stomach. Like I've never, very, very few times in my life have I anticipated doing something, felt literally like I'm going to throw up. I didn't. But I was like on that verge of like, I'm going to need to get to the toilet real quick. And it was, my eating was fine. It was purely absolute nerves. Just like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
So it's a tough challenge mentally. I'm not going to die. I'm so glad when it started, but it's hard because you don't know, it's a big unknown.
I mean, I just signed up for my first ultra marathon and that's the 50K in DC. And I've never felt nervous signing up for a race. But for that race, I really felt nervous actually signing up for it. Like it's different. Like it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no problem signing up for stuff. I'll sign up for a 500-mile race tomorrow, and then a week before I go, why the hell did I do that? I have no problem signing up. It's when the taxes come, like, hey, we got to start packing. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I sign up for?
Man,
that's the way I will.
So the day before the race, you get all checked in, get everything ready. You and your crew are in the hotel the night before the race. What's the atmosphere like in your room before you actually head to bed? I mean, are y'all saying anything, preparing a plan? What's this like?
Yeah, I mean, it's my crew. Oh my gosh, I just don't know where to start. But Alan Lupus is basically a professional crew. As an athlete, he's volunteered, and then he's crewed. I was the third or the fourth person who crews for Ultraman. So he's very businesslike. As a matter of fact, he was almost too businesslike at first. We got to the airport. I went to pick him up, and he basically put his hand out and said, give me the car keys. And I was like, no, I could drive. And he's like, nope, I'm driving. You do nothing. I was like, this is a little weird. But that's how he was. He was like, this is business. I'm here to get you through the finish line. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't carry anything. You need to change the remote. I'll bring you the remote control. You need to brush your teeth. I'll put the toothpaste on the toothbrush. I mean, that's his mindset. So Thursday night, we had this, what's called like the athletes briefing, where we had breakfast and we met a whole bunch of the athletes, and then Thursday midday. And then we went back to the hotel and we looked over the book. There's a book about things, and I had a couple of final things I was mentioning, but the mood was quite, I mean, I don't really know from the crew's perspective, but I was fine. I mean, I was nervous, but they were just methodical. They were just doing, right, what do we need? Let's pack this. And they were like talking to themselves, okay, where'd you put the bike pump? Because originally I was going to pack the car because I got there on Monday. So my dumb plan was, I'm going to get into town. I'm going to go and buy all the little things that I didn't bring with me, because you can't carry all that stuff on the plane. And I'm going to set the van up, make it all perfectly accessible with everything like labeled and ready to go. And then it dawned on me that, well, I'm going to be out on the course. So if I need nail clippers for whatever reason, they're not going to know where they are because I unpacked the van. So I was like, I'm just going to buy stuff. You put it wherever you want to put it. So if I say I need nail clippers, you need to know where they are. And so they basically did that. They just went through and said, right, where's everything going to go? And it was a little chaotic in the stuff everywhere. Chargers and heart rate monitors and spare bike shoes and spare run shoes and wetsuits and you name it. It was everywhere. But they were calm. I mean, they were not freaking out at all. Why would they? They would just screw.
Yeah, they don't have to go and do anything. So you go to bed the night before day one. How are you feeling emotionally? I know you said you had to throw up, but was that just a one-off or did that linger? Were you able to sleep a lot? What was that like?
No, I mean, I was just queasy. It was only for a little while, maybe 30 minutes. I mean, it wasn't the whole time. It was just pure nerves, but I was nervous. I lay down and I think I said maybe 2 hours. I literally just replayed the swim over in my head over and over and over. Like, okay, when am I going to stretch and how am I going to eat? And which, I had a plan for the swim. So basically, the race revolved around that swim. I didn't even really think about the bike. I knew the bike was set up. I knew, but I was all about the swim, and I didn't sleep very well. I maybe got 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I probably got some like intermittence in between. But all of a sudden, it was 4 a.m. The alarm went off, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane." So it was nerve-wracking.
Man, so you get up on day one. You're putting on your swim stuff and getting ready to head down to the swim start for your 10K swim and 90-mile bike ride. I think you had oatmeal with peanut butter and jelly. And
yes.
So how was this breakfast setting you up, and how was your emotions during this time before you went down to the swim start?
Man, I absolutely hate to eat in the morning. I'm not a breakfast guy, never have been. So I always struggle at Ironman as well because I know I have to eat. Jess made me coffee. Jess made my oatmeal for me. And she was in charge of food, basically. She was in charge of technically my breakfast, my dinners, which were already made, but just making sure that I got those calories in. And then, so she had everything ready for me, and I just basically to eat the stuff and then try to go to the toilet before just to make sure I was, anything I could get out if I could. And I was kind of nervous. I mean, it got progressively more and more nerves. We got in the car, so the car was about a 35-minute drive to the lake. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I've still got 35 minutes before we get to the lake. And then suddenly we're turning onto the lake. It's like, oh my gosh. And suddenly start seeing other athletes like, wait, am I really doing this? So it was a mind setback, no doubt. I mean, I didn't freak out. I always just try and remain calm. I've done this before. Like Ironman, I've been scared at Ironman before. So I just like, yeah, I know. I just got to get to the start. Let's just get to the start. Let's just get going. So, but that waiting is just the worst part for the race. Absolute worst.
Man, so you get out of the car at the swim start. What is the atmosphere there like to experience?
It's amazing. Yeah, you got the crew, you got the family members, whoever's there, and then of course you got the athletes. And it was really funny. There's this guy. His name's Randy Latzer, and you should interview him one time because he's got this really cool mascot outfit, and he goes to Lake Placid, and he's awesome. But he's not a good swimmer, and I was feeling terrified. I mean, if I looked at myself in the mirror, I would have just seen like a white ghost. That was in my mind, but I was trying to hold, some kind of normal conversation and be normal. But he looked like I felt. Because when I looked at him, I actually felt good for him. And I'm like, man, I don't feel as bad as you look. I go, are you okay? He goes, no. It was so funny. I mean, you can see, it looked like he just saw a ghost, like literally, like he was freaked out. And I was freaked out inside, and he had the visual appearance. And, there's a whole bunch of other athletes here, and some of them were in the usual little smiles, but they were just, their lips were just creaking open. They were not really truly smiling because they were all, starting to get focused on what the task at hand. And they weren't freaking out. And, people were it was nice. It was really nice because people were high-fiving each other, hugging each other, athletes were. And it was a good feeling. And it was the most beautiful sunrise. So I got really calm right before the swim because Jess had a timer for me. It was like 10 minutes before I was going to go into the water, get some water in my wetsuit because it was quite cold. So we're going to get some water in the wetsuit, then come back out, stand up so that the water goes through the body so that the wetsuit can hold. Otherwise, it'll form those little pockets around your stomach or in your legs, which is bad. So I did all that and then put my earplugs in and put the hat on. And then Alan was already out in the kayak because he had to go like 10 minutes before. So then it was like a frantic race trying to figure out where he was because there's 50 kayakers out there, all bobbing around. And he had a yellow shirt on. Or an orange shirt, well, they made them wear yellow vests, so you couldn't tell him from a bar of soap. I was like, where is he? And but I told him my plan was to come out real slow and let all those guys go in front of me because I knew I was going to be a slow swim. So it was, but the tension, it was definitely tension. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's very, very nerve-wracking.
Man. So did you meet up with Morgan or Rich or anybody like that you got to hang out with, or?
Absolutely.
What did they
Morgan
say?
They were like, come on, you got this. They were very encouraging, and they've been there before. So it's nice to hear them, say this stuff. I mean, yes, everyone is very, everybody that I ran into before the swim. I mean, I try and say hello to as many people as I could. And they were all like, oh, this is going to be an amazing day. And they're super positive. But the truth is that I'm freaking out because I got this 6.5 mile swim, whatever. So, everyone was supportive. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start line. It's incredible, but it's just when you're the athlete, it's a little, I was there last year as a volunteer, and it's super exciting, and I know they can all do it, but now when I was there, it was like, God, I wish I was on the other side of this.
Man, so they release y'all to start the race. How did the swim go for you?
It went perfect. I mean, there was like so I can't show you, but there was a map that came up the day before. So there was basically the first swim buoy was, I think, 1,875 meters, something like that. And then turned left. It was the only left of the day. He turned left, and then he went all the way. I think that was 2,500 meters, which that basically equated to, when I did the math, very round numbers, that was an Ironman. So I said, okay, cool. Instead of, worrying about the furthest part of swim, let me go swim one Ironman swim. I can do an Ironman swim. I've done this before. And my plan was to just, because normally with Ironman, I don't eat in between, right? As you know, we go out, we eat with a form, we swim an hour 20, hour 30, we're out, and then we're fueling on the bike. So I thought, well, why would I eat before? So I'm just going to go one Ironman swim. And then once we hit that, which was the next turn, the second turn, we would move into the feeding zone, which was basically every 20 minutes, Alan would literally, I would swim right next to Alan. I would just, every stroke, I would look at him, and he was guiding me. So he just held his line, and he would just hold the paddle up. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, that was great. Excuse. And then he would feed every 20 minutes. He would hold the bottle up, should have shake the bottle. And when I would look up, I'd see him shaking the bottle. I'd stop and go, what do you want to eat? Just give me some tailwind and some chews. And then we would take about 30 seconds for that. And I would do a few stretches, and then no more than a minute. And then boom, take off again, another 20 minutes. And he had a little timer. So that's what we did. And once I got around that second turn, I was like, okay, I've done one Ironman swim. Now I just got another Ironman swim. And then I've got a half Ironman swim. So let's do that. So we just plodded along, and before long, we were on the final turn coming back. I was like, Alan goes, this is the final turn. I'm like, wait, what? We're on the, he goes, yeah, you got 1,800 yards left. I was like, oh, I can do 1,800 yards. So the swim went great. I mean, it was, I started feeling my back hurting around maybe mile 3, but it wasn't hurting. It never really hurts as much in the water. It starts to hurt. And then when I get out, that's normally when it goes, yeah, you've been swimming too long. I don't like it. But the swim went perfect. I mean, Alan probably put me point to point more than any other kayaker out there. We went straight point to point to point. So it was great.
Man, so did you feel like you were actually going to get out of the water at any point with excruciating back pain?
I didn't really know. I know from experience before that my back hurts a little bit, and then once I stand, it's a whole different ballgame. I really, honestly, until I stood on that beach, had no idea. I thought I was like, Jess and Juan are going to basically carry me off here. It wouldn't have surprised me, because doing 3 miles in the pool, 3 weeks before, whatever, a month before, I couldn't get out of bed the next day. So I'm like, okay, if this is going to be it, I'll get out. If I'm a heap on the beach, what can I do? I did my best, and I have some kind of issue but it didn't happen. So the swim was, I remember Alan commenting a couple of times, because we try to just maintain, my coach said, just maintain your form. Just keep the arms the same speed. And I remember Alan stopping. He said, Julian, your form is ridiculously good. He goes, you're so consistent. He said, there's other people that are going fast. And he goes, we're catching people. We're going around people. He goes, we came out dead last. And he said, just form. So I got a bit of confidence from that. And really, the swim was uneventful. It was incredible, actually. I got to do it again.
Wow. So
yeah,
you get out of the swim and you get ready to get on the bike. You have a 90-mile bike ride for this. You go into the bathroom there with your guys that are on there. Jess is getting the bike ready for you. How is your mindset at this point, and what's this like as far as to be done with a 10K swim, knowing you have to do a 90-mile bike ride right now?
A piece of cake. I was like, once I stood up for that, because I kept waiting for my back to suddenly hurt, because it normally hurts really badly. It's a really difficult kind of pain to explain, but I kept like waiting. Was it going to come now? Is it like, okay, I'm standing here. Okay, I just took my wetsuit off. Okay, how come it's not hurting? So I didn't even think about the bike. Are you kidding? Once I got on that bike, and one of the concerns I did have was let's say I got out of the swim and my back was hurting, I could maybe fight through. But like at Ironman Arizona, once you got on the bike, as you know, you don't have to stop. Well, in Ultraman, you have to stop, and you have to stop at every traffic light, every stop sign. And stopping means unclipping and putting your foot down. And in Arizona, when I did that race with a sore back, if I had put my foot down the first 5 miles, I would have still been there. I mean, I wasn't going to get up. I couldn't even bend up. So I was very worried that once I got into that sort of, aero position, that my back was going to lock up. It was crazy. I got down. I made a sun turn. It was like I hadn't even swum. I felt great. I'm like, oh, I got this. 90 miles is easy. This is just make sure I don't get any flat tires or anything. I was not fazed about that at all.
Wow.
And I was kind of high-fiving myself. Like, you just did a 10K swim, man. That's awesome. So I was happy about it.
Wow. So what kind of wheels are you using? Are you using race wheels? Or are you just using stock wheels? What is this?
So no, I'm using my Diamondback Andine, and it has these head wheels that come with the bike because it's a disc wheel bike. The bike is actually built around the wheels, so I forget the technical specifications of those wheels, but they're some of the best wheels in the market.
Really?
They're not deep dish, but they're deep enough, and the whole bike is, it's a very heavy bike. It's 24 pounds, and that was a bit of a concern. But day one did not concern me because it was only 1,800 feet of climbing, or maybe 2,000, so I was not concerned about that. But day two definitely was in my mind. But those wheels, what I had, and I got these new tires, the Continental 5000s, because I wanted to really avoid flats. And they've got like a 20% less flat ratio. And I didn't put them as hard. I think they recommended 110. I think we pumped them up at 100. So, just figured try and remove the likelihood of a flat. And that was going to be my challenge. But I had lots of time. So we knew that if I got out of the swim in 4.5 hours, which I think I was 4.5, we knew that I have, 7.5 hours to do 90 miles. Like, I've done 112 miles in 7 hours. It was just about trying to avoid traffic, trying to avoid any kind of potholes. But I was confident at that point. Not cocky, but I was confident.
Right. And you have to actually stop at every single stop sign and red light. And they actually have people there to actually make sure that. I mean, I saw the checklist of did they put their foot down with the number?
Yep.
Like, at all the red lights. Like, that's the thing.
That's right. Because you have to obey traffic laws because the course is not closed, and that's part of the rules. And I remember last year a bunch of people almost got DQ'd for that. They were just blowing through stop signs. It's like, as cyclists, it kind of irritates me as a cyclist myself when I see people blatantly disregard the laws and then complain because the cars are aggressive. It's like, you guys are just blowing lights. I mean, if you were on a motorcycle, you couldn't do that. Why do you feel like you can do it normally? So Ultraman is a very strict policy. And also, I'm pretty sure it's part of the insurance. You can't have people going through lights and someone gets hit or killed. It's terrible. So there's strict rules. But I think everybody followed the rules. And everyone I saw, at least. I mean, I stopped at every single – as a matter of fact, I even stopped at a yield sign one time because I wasn't sure if it was a stop sign or not. I was making sure I just stopped. So I was, 80 miles on the bike. Is that a stop sign or a yield? Yeah, I'll take a chance. It's a stop. So it's good.
Man. So whenever you start thinking about your nutrition plan and how Jess was helping you with this, what did you want to get in from a nutrition standpoint every hour or every 2 hours in food and getting calories? Because you're really approaching a deficit in calories very, very quickly with the 10K swim because you're not really eating that much during it. And then on the bike, you're just burning calories like crazy.
So Jess was actually food. Like, Jess was food. So she was breakfast and dinner. And she was also there to make the food that I eat. But Alan and her basically ran my nutrition for the day. But effectively, I was like, I want 200 calories an hour. 200, 220. Because I wasn't going to run afterwards. If I was going to run, like an Ironman's a little bit different. If I was going to run, I'd probably take 250, 260. But I was going to finish the bike and I was going to be done. So there's no need to put, I'm small. I'm 150 pounds, 145 pounds. And I don't, going to burn that much. I'm not pushing hard on this level of this part of the race. As a matter of fact, I actually came in too hot. My coach Cliff was like, yeah, you kind of pushed a little bit too much. I wanted you to be in like 11:30. I think I came like 10:45 or something like that. So probably shouldn't have gone as hard, but 200 calories an hour, drinks, food, majority of real food in the beginning. And this is where Jess saved me big time because I know they say don't do anything new on race day. My entire food was new for race day. She made these I've had rice cakes before. So she made these rice cakes with bacon and egg. They were just amazing. They were little squares. They were easy to hold. Man, I swallowed those things like little M&Ms. And then she also made these tortillas with honey and rice inside. And they were really easy to hold and eat. And they're basically pure carbohydrate. And they were easy to hold. So she would just pass me one. And, 220 an hour, a combination of, I went to Powerade. I don't like Gatorade. And actually I went to Powerade by mistake because when I was training with Jess one time, I didn't have any tailwind left, and I had an 8-hour bike ride inside. So I went to Costco or Ralph's and I got some Powerade. And I'll just get through this. And it actually worked really well for me. And it's got all the potassium, and it's probably got some junk in it you shouldn't have, but it worked well for me. It did not upset me. So we had Powerade, we had water, we had tailwind, and then we had real food. We had 5 things basically.
Wow. So y'all just did a rotation, making sure you got 220 calories an hour then.
Yeah. So the first 90 miles was a learning experience for us because we'd never crewed with each other before. So they were kind of like, what do you want? You know, and then I'd be like, oh, can I have a burrito? Oh, can I have rice cakes? Or eventually they sort of started just kind of telling me, I remember Jess came out the corner and says, you have to drink more, take this bottle. I was like, okay, ma'am. I took the bottle and drank it. She was like forceful because she realized I was down on liquid, but it just like clockwork. I mean, it was pretty good. It was easy.
Wow. So you said there was like 2,000 feet of gain on day one. How was this? Were you trying to hit a certain power number or a heart rate number?
No, I don't use power. I just use heart rate. I use rate, RPE, and not even heart rate. I mean, I was actually going more on miles per hour. So I was trying to keep it around 14, 15, 16. We had some winds, we had some tailwinds, and the course was really, day one bike course was a breeze. I mean, there were some rollers, but they were all, if you geared correctly through the beginning part of the hill, I could gobble up half of that hill on the way up. So it's kind of like Chattanooga. Chattanooga was like that. I don't think I went up one hill in Chattanooga. I'm lying. I went up one hill and then I just rode the bottoms to the tops, and I pedaled for like 3 seconds, and then I rode the next hill. And that's kind of what it was like. It was easy. I didn't go hard, but it was easy.
Like, that's what I love about that course at Chattanooga, because like,
yep.
I remember, so I've done the full and the 70.3 there, and like for the 70.3, it's like I went out and came right back. Like, it was so engaging and fun because you're having the rollers. You go up one hill and then the rest of it's downhill. I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's fun.
What you're doing. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, and I actually encountered some of that at this race, believe it or not. Some very experienced cyclists who did not know how to use their bike gears very well. So it was interesting.
Now, I know you're on the bike here, but are you worrying about getting sunburnt?
No, so because I was not worried. I mean, I think we put sunscreen on. We put sunscreen on before I took off. So we didn't reapply sunscreen, but I never at one point felt I was hot. I was very smart that I had my SPF, what do you call it, stuff for your lips, like lip balm, which I never use. I don't use lip balm. I don't use creams. I'm not that kind of person, but I stashed one in my bike, and I was like, my lips are probably going to get burned. So I applied a whole bunch of the skunk on my lips, and that was fine. No burns, no sunburn. I mean, we're flying. I was covered pretty well.
Okay. So whenever you get ready to wrap up day one, you're coming into the finish chute there on day one with your bike. It's a little bit different than an Ironman finish, and it's a lot different atmosphere there. What is this feeling like to finish day one?
I don't know about for everyone else, but for me, it was a huge turning point, because that swim, right? Every minute that I was on the bike and my back didn't hurt, I realized that my back was not hurting. So I got stronger mentally. I was like, okay, I can do this. Yes, I've still got a long 2 days coming, but it was really nice to come in and know the crew was there. And there was a lot of people there. I mean, a lot of the really fast athletes had already gone, but there must have been 15 or 20 athletes there, and with their friends and family, and all cheering as you come in. And they have an announcer, and then my own crew was there. So they were the ones that I really wanted to see. So it was great. Yes, it's not like an Ironman in the sense of the amount of people, but it's the same. Everybody wants you to succeed there. It's not, they're just thrilled to see any athlete coming through. I mean, we were in a massage and an athlete would come up, we'd get off the table, clap for them to come through. We just want to see them finish. So very, very good atmosphere.
Wow. So after you get your massage on day one, y'all go back to the hotel to get ready and all that. Did you even realize that Jess had not showered all day after her run that she did while you were swimming?
After her what?
She did an hour run while you were swimming, and she never showered all day.
I didn't realize that, but that doesn't surprise me. Where would she shower?
Yeah. I mean, that was so interesting because it was like, I ran for an hour while he was swimming, and then I came back and still made the van, decorated the van, and still was there in time for him to get out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but, the crew, to be a good crew person, you basically, and it's crazy because I think we talked about this, it's like, it's hard to have, I don't really normally ever have anyone rely on me for anything. Hey, I need a bottle of water. I get up and go to get it from the fridge. But to sort of realize that they're there for that reason. Yes, they're there to have fun too, but they're really not. And then they're not being paid, right? You're paying their way. But if you look at the amount of time, it's boring as heck. I mean, you're standing on the side of the road, leapfrogging, watching some guy pedal. It's just. But so to be committed to your athlete is huge. And that's what they were. They were just like, okay, so I'm not surprised they didn't shower. I'm not surprised they didn't eat. I'm not surprised that they were like, we'll just deal with this later because it's not about us. So it's an interesting dynamic. And it's a little weird as the athlete to know that they're doing that because you don't want to say, hey, go ahead and shower or go ahead and take a break because it's kind of weird. But at the same time, you're like, I'm kind of inconveniencing them. And it did bother me a little bit in the beginning, but then I think we just like, it is what it is, One day I'll do it. So I'll be inconvenienced. So I'll be the one that hasn't had a drink in a while, but as long as my athlete's got a drink, that's the goal. It's not about me. Obviously I'm not going to die, but
wow.
So it's a very unique thing, yeah.
So when y'all got back to the hotel on day one, what was that like? Were you exhausted? Were you ready to go to sleep?
No, I wasn't exhausted at all. I mean, it was a long day. We were so excited. We were talking about it in the car, like, can you believe I did a 6-mile swim? And they were like, man, you did so well. We're so proud of you. They were just gleaming from ear to ear. Because, I mean, Jess knew. I don't think Alan knew my back was as bad as it was, even though I told him. And, I mean, Juan knew my back was bad. So I think they were just relieved that, we were still carrying on. And, no, I wasn't tired at all. I mean, we got back, and, of course, we had to – a big part of Ultraman is recovery and for setting up for the next day. It's a little bit different than Ironman because you can give everything you want and you're not doing an Ironman the next day. So you can go to eat pizza or not eat and you're fine, but you got to get calories in. And it was a struggle because my food was pre-made. My coach Erica pre-made my food and Jess brought it. But when she put it in the microwave and gave it to me, it's this big plate of this awesome tasting food. I took like 4 bites of it and went, I can't eat anymore. I just don't feel like eating, but I had to eat, so I'm trying to eat. And then Jess was like, hey, I've got some Greek yogurt. Maybe we can give you like a 700-calorie smoothie. And I was like, damn right, let's do that. And that's what probably another very small thing that saved in a big way. Because if I didn't have that, I don't know how I would have gotten 1,000 calories in. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I don't know what I could have eaten. So she made these smoothies. I drank 2 of them. And then Alan was packing the car. And they were just methodical, going through, right, what do we need for tomorrow? Like, dump the wetsuit. We need the bikes. Double check the mechanical stuff on the bikes. Clean the bikes. They were just bam, 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 going through. Put the bike chargers on because the bike charger was you. I mean, get the bikes charging. Get the heart rate monitor, and then pack the bags. In the meantime, I'm just sitting there like they're just serving me hand and foot. And then Juan and Alan made these little route sheets which were actually amazing. They made these little route sheets for my handlebars, which made me know which mile I was going to be turning which direction, just handwritten, but on these little black cards. So they did that for a while, and I just sat there and talked to Jess, talked to Juan, and they said, okay, it's time for me to go jump in the bath. And then we had an Epsom salt bath, and then I came back and said, okay, I'm going to bed, good night, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll see you guys. Sorry, I actually slept really well that night. So.
Wow. So did you know that she broke a blender?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I was there when she did that. Yeah, man. It's crazy the things that happen.
Yeah, and Alan had to go get another one. Man. So you get in bed, and then you wake up the next day. How are you feeling after day one? Did you wake up with fatigue or soreness or pain anywhere? What was this like?
Actually, not a single thing. I woke up, I stepped out of bed, the alarm went off. I was like, oh, my gosh. I opened the door to see if Jess was there in the kitchen. And she was, make my coffee as planned, make the oatmeal. I went and I think I always shower before. I went and had a shower. I was feeling fine. My back was fine. My knee, everything was fine. I almost didn't race the day before. Didn't do anything the day before. I had no qualms whatsoever. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Wow. So after you get breakfast, you basically just put on bike stuff because now you have to just bike 173 miles.
Right.
So you get down to the bike start line. What's the atmosphere there like on day 2 for the start line?
So we get down there. Everyone's, it certainly felt a little more jovial than the first day. I think that's because most are very cyclists. The people were not very good swimmers. I think the swim was I think if you asked the average person what's the most scary part, I heard some people say, once the swim's done, I'm fine. So I was like, well, that's same for me. It was fine. They lined us up. Everybody was saying hello, good morning. Yeah, we were just going out for a bike ride. It wasn't, for me, I was like, holy smokes, like, how am I going to do this? So I think on the way to the bike, I told Alan and Jess, I go, guys, we're not doing 173 miles today. I just want to do an Ironman bike. And they were like, what? And I was like, I just want to do an Ironman bike and then just chomp that off and then reset and then do like a half Ironman bike and then just a few miles at the end, just from a mental perspective. And I know it sounds dumb, but I had to just break it down. I couldn't, once 160 miles left, 150 miles left after riding for 35 miles, this is terrible. So it was really cool as well to ride a draft because we came out this one road and there's no way that you can't draft. You'd lose so much time because it's a long freeway. So they said, okay, the first 7 miles, it's draft legal. So there was an Indian chap, Pravda, and he was quite big. And he came alongside me and I just smiled because I was like, if you go past me, I'm going to be on your wheel the whole way. And it's exactly what happened. Because I've ridden bikes at Velodrome before, so I know how to stick on the wheel. I had to be there was a fingernail between his back wheel for 6.5 miles. I sucked all of that energy and just literally rode him the whole way.
Wow. So you took advantage of all that draft legal part.
Yeah, the whole draft legal part. As a matter of fact, I was watching my bike computer because obviously at 7 miles, you were not allowed to draft, right? So I was like, I'm not getting a penalty because I don't have that kind of time. So I was watching the bike computer and then we drove past. I was right on the back of him. He didn't even know. I was like, if I was watching, I was even going to stick my head out and make sure he wasn't going to miss a pothole or something. So it was a little risky, but I drove past this other crew on the side of the road and they're like, hey, you're drafting. You're now in the illegal zone. And I remember like taking a gasp of air going, oh, holy smokes, am I really? But then I looked down at my bike up here, it was 6.3. I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't know your miles. So I stayed on him for like another 0.45. And then at about 6.7, I just completely sat up, pulled back, and I let him go. And then I just, okay, cool. I got like those 7 miles out of the way. So it was a good start. I got a lot of speed that time. It was awesome. It was all in the rules, and I just used the rules to my advantage. So I was very happy with it.
Man. So how are you feeling as far as your overall ability at this point? Because now then you have all this built up speed, your emotions are high. Now then you're going to know your nutrition for the next few hours. How is this feeling for you?
I was feeling good. I honestly was not thinking about more than 10 miles in front of me. It's crazy. I can't do that. So I was just, I was paying a lot of attention and staying present time on the bike because I know you can crash on the bike easily. And it was quite challenging. There were some sections of the road where there was, weird potholes. You're riding in the middle of, I don't know where the heck we're riding, but you had to stay on your toes. So it wasn't just like riding around in circles. And so that was kind of good and had to pay real good attention. And then, in the back of my mind, like, it's hour 2. I've still got probably 11 hours to go or, 9 hours to go. It's quite a thing to think about, but I didn't let it get me down much. And then within about, I think maybe an hour and a bit, we hit the hills. So then it was like, oh God, just try and survive this, And I had the real heavy bike, and I knew that I was going to be struggling on those hills because my bike does really well on the flats, but the other bike that I have is terrible on the flats. So I thought, well, I'm just going to take the chance and just see if I can ride these hills. I actually didn't know if I could, and I rode up those hills pretty well. I was quite surprised.
Wow. So did you have a strategy for doing the hills here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously I would go into the lowest gear, try to spin as much as I can. And I stand a lot on hills because actually I'm quite strong standing. So, and it breaks up the monotony of sitting on the seat. So I just, you know, to one hill at a time. And then I try to really capitalize on the backside of the hills. But there's this part in Florida, it's called Claremont, and that's where all the guys ride. You know, it's the hilliest part of Florida. And unfortunately, a lot of those roads are like this weird chip seal. And, you know, I can go down a hill at, you know, 55, 57 miles an hour, but going down 35 on the backside of some of those hills, I was like hanging on for dear life. And so I wasn't really benefiting from the climbs in many cases. And some of those roads were shocking. I mean, it was like, whoa, if I can just, you know, get through this without a puncture, I'd be happy.
Man.
So it took a lot of focus. Yeah, it was good. And some of those hills were like, wait, what? Another one? I'm like, really? I thought it was Florida. I thought it was flat, but so it was good. It was hard at the time, but it was good once we were done. I think we were done at about mile 80 or 90. At least the big hills.
Wow. So what was it like whenever you got to mile, say, 80 or 90? Were you having any issues mentally or emotionally going into dark spots at all?
I don't remember being dark. I know that Jess made a couple comments that she's like, yeah, I could see that you were not yourself because I just wasn't smiling as much. Generally, it was always good, but sometimes I was just kind of focusing on not stopping. I don't remember dark spots, but I got a little bit down to my salt at one point on day 2, and the crew missed the salt, and I knew it, and my body knew it within like 20 minutes. And I don't know if they put me back. I think it took me out of my rhythm a little bit, but I don't remember any positions where I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. Like, it's certainly not early on. Later into the race, there was a couple of things, but the first 80, 90 miles, yeah, I was kind of like, I just want to get through the Ironman. I just want to get through 113. I want to get to my longest bike ride, you know, outside. And then every mile is the next record, you know? So that's basically the way I did it.
Wow. So what was your nutrition plan? I know you're using Tailwind, Powerade. You got some tortillas, you got some rice cakes with bacon and eggs. What are you doing as far as like a rotation, or are you just doing as much as you can every time? What is this like?
I was literally doing whatever I felt like at the time, and it was funny. Like sometimes I'd go, "Can I have a red Powerade?" And then the poor crew would scramble because they had blue. And I can't explain why red is better than blue, but there was one point where they didn't mean to, but they kept giving me like yellow Powerade, and I got like 3. I'm like, can I have something but yellow? I was like, I'm tired of yellow, like, you know, it's blue. So the shame, they were amazing. They'd scramble. Oh, we'll get you the next one. We'll get you the next one, and all of a sudden they go zipping by me, and they were out there with the bottles in their hand. The same thing, exactly the same as day one. People said to me before Ultraman, you better have 100 different options because you're going to get sick and tired of it. I'm like, I've resigned myself to the fact I'm going to get sick and tired of whatever I got. I'm just going to suck it up. I can't have 20 options, guys. I'm going to have like 5 things, and I'm probably going to hate them at the end of the weekend, but I'm going to have to do them. This is not, you know, we're not at a Vegas buffet here. This is Ultraman. You can't have everything you want. So I just had like 5 solid things, you know, the water, the Tailwind, the Powerade, different options. And then, you know, I did have some gels. I used this, I think it's called Huma gel. It's like an all natural, basically just some sugar. We use that because there's this one hill called Sugarloaf, which is just a massive climb. And I said to the crew, hey, 2 miles before Sugarloaf, I'm going to stop. Can you give me one of those gels? So I think I had 2 gels on the bike. The rest was exactly what we had the day before. It was the tortillas, it was the rice cakes. And it was like whenever I felt like it, Jess would say, or I would say, we need you to eat soon. I'm like, okay, I'll take a burrito. And they're like, well, we need you to drink. Okay, I'll take water. And it was interesting because they would give me water or whatever bottle. I only had 1 bottle, and I would toss it to them every time I saw them, and they would replace it for me. So it was a little tricky because they didn't know how much I was drinking. So I was tossing these half bottles or quarter bottles back to them, and they were trying to get me, you know. So Jess would sit there and write down, like, oh, Julian had like, I was looking at the notes. He had 4 ounces of Powerade. He had 7 ounces of water. I'm like, oh my gosh. He's like, well, he's 8 ounces short. So, but exactly the same as day one. Nothing changed. And that was probably a good thing for me because then we already knew exactly. I knew it didn't affect my stomach. I knew I was getting the energy from it. I mean, it's nice to get some solid food sometime, but I had no problem with it. Actually, I didn't even get sick and tired of it. I was actually looking forward to it. It was just, yeah, it wasn't a problem.
So did you have any GI issues or cramping?
No, none whatsoever.
So what about your butt? I mean, we're literally sitting on a little saddle for
Yeah.
almost 12 hours.
Oh, okay. So at about mile 25 or 30 on day one, I started to, and I never had this, I started to feel like I'm getting a rash, in both parts of my butt. And so I stopped and got cream. And that was a nightmare because we hadn't really planned this out very well. While they had paper towels, when you take a scoop of cream and you apply it, that stuff, you can't get off your hands, So it's like, you don't want to sit on the side of the road for an hour trying to clean your hands. So we wiped them down, but I remember getting back on. I was like, greasy. Oh, crap. This is terrible. But, I must have been 10 miles in. Immediately, I'm like, I need more cream. I was like, oh, this is going to be a hard day. And I've still got 171 miles tomorrow. So I was very conscious of the fact that if I don't treat my situation today, that imagine riding tomorrow with saddle sores. That would be game-changing maybe? I don't know. So we kept applying the cream, and then I had Tri-Glide with me, which I only used Tri-Glide for my wetsuit. I never used Tri-Glide for anything else. I guess I didn't read the label very well. And we went to that, and that saved my race as well, because you basically can put it down your pants, like basically if you can envision, like you can do it in the middle of a mall if you want to, no one sees, and you spray this can, and because it's in a small area, it's like this oil, and it just goes all over. And it lasted probably 15 or 20 miles. So I would just start stopping, and then I wouldn't get it on my fingers. I would just take the can, spray, hand it back, and we go. So that saved me big time because I was worried about the next day. And that was it. My butt wasn't sore. It was just like, and I think it was my bike shorts. They're just cutting in,
Right.
So but I was like, oh man, this is not going to be fun.
Man. So you get past the Ironman distance of 112. And then what is this like emotionally to hit that mark of 112 and knowing, yeah, you still got to do a little bit more?
Oh, it's wonderful. Once Jess and Alan were like, the Ironman's done, I was like, the biggest part of the ride is done. I'm like, literally just reset my brain. I'm now on, anyone can do 56 miles, How hard can this be? The only thing that at that point that I was struggling with was my hands were killing me. And I've never experienced pain in my hands like this before because I don't really know, but I think we had the route sheet that was between the like my error bars. And normally I roll the inside of my fingers. So my thumbs are basically touching. Well, I couldn't roll my hands because the sheet was in the way. And we hadn't practiced with the sheet. So that's something I would do next time. And what it does is when you can't roll your hand over, your trap muscle or your shoulder muscle doesn't align, which you go, what's the big deal? Well, when you do that for 11 hours and you're pedaling and you're pulling and pushing and standing and pulling, clearly it affected my hands. So that the pads of my hands, my fingers, my actual hand itself was so painful. I was like, I could withdraw from hand pain. And people are going to go, what? How do you withdraw from hand pain? It was so sore. So once I hit like 120, I was just trying to be real light on the bars, but my hands were basically beat up. And I've never had that before. So I grabbed some gloves. I had some gloves in the, I had thought about this. What if it rains or what if I get a callus or something? Can I get some gloves? And I had them. I said, guys, can I have the gloves? And they stopped the next time, gave me the gloves. They were waterproof gloves, which wasn't really good because it was hot, but it gave me some kind of padding. And next time I'll take real bike gloves, but I didn't think I was going to use them. So I put those on, and that probably saved me as well. That helped me deal with the pain. But I was dealing with pain in my hands for at least 4 hours. Like it's hard to explain how sore it was. It was brutal.
Man, so did you take any leave or any pain medicine for it?
I took 2 leave in the morning just to keep the inflammation down, but I didn't want to take anything more unless I really had to. We had them there, but I was like, I'm on the bike. It's like 9 hours. It's hard to concentrate. You start putting pain medication in your body, you could get drowsy. Actually, I was quite drowsy for a bit anyway. And, the last thing I needed to be a little more drowsy, and I kind of just sort of sucked it up. I thought about it, but then I also thought my hands are so sore. I don't think pain pills are going to take this away. It was that bad. So I'm like, what's it going to do? Alleviate it a little bit? So it was too much of a risk. So no, I didn't take anything. But I promise you, if I had to go another 10 miles, I probably would have quit. It was so hard. I probably would have stopped.
Wow. So looking back on day 2, what did we not cover already when you're probably about mile 150? What did we not cover that you want to mention there?
Anything I didn't cover with you is there was one section of road. Okay, well, there was wind, but on one section there was this like a freeway, and we turned onto this freeway, and immediately I looked down at the road, and we couldn't. Some of these roads you could ride on the actual road, right? But this highway was not set up like that because cars were flying by on the actual road piece. But there was a real nice sized bike lane. The problem was that hadn't been swept in God knows how long. So as soon as we turned onto it, I was shooting out these like stones and pieces of glass and shards. Every single pedal stroke, I was shooting something out to the left, to the right. And so was everybody in front of me, and immediately saw like 3 or 4 bikes that were down, changing wheels. And I thought to myself, this is what I thought to myself. I said, this is not a matter of if I'm going to get a flat, it's a matter of when. So just listen for it. Because you'd rather anticipate it and then stop. I'm going to get a flat here. There's no way I'm going to get through this debris field. And then, of course, I looked down at the map, and the route map was like, at 1.5 miles, turn right, and then go like a mile and a half, turn left at 3.5. Of course, I turned into this road, and it's like mile 25. The next turn's like 37. You're like, of course, it's the one that's going to be on for the longest time. So I just resigned to myself to the fact that we're going to get a flat. I think I even told the crew, I go, guys, watch for me. I'm going to go down here. I mean, I was riding through debris. And lo and behold, I don't know how, I turned off that road and everything was like, man, this is going well now, because I don't know how I got through that. And thinking back, how I got through it maybe was the fact that I went to those correct tires, and then I didn't put the high PSI. And, these are little factors that potentially may have just been damn well lucky. I mean, it's all a combination of the two. But I feel like we prepped well for it, and I was ready to change tires. So maybe that's another reason. So that was a tough one. And then the only other thing that happened was, I think at about mile 40 or 140, we turned onto some highway, and I thought I was back in Florida, Florida Ironman in Panama City Beach. Oh my gosh, that wind was brutal. And it just kept coming. It was like a constant fan. And at that point, it's like riding up hills, because you're going 150 and you've got the wind in your face. And I was like, this is challenging. I remember trying to be real, real tiny and like constantly try to get up. But then my hands were killing me, so I couldn't sit up. So and then my elbows, it was just, yeah. So that wind was, and I found out, so I was like, maybe it's just me that feels like the wind is bad. And I found out later that everybody was complaining about the wind. So, good, I'm not a wuss after all. I thought I was being a baby.
So I know y'all ended up taping your elbow?
Yep. We used, because on day one, and this happens at Ironman normally, my elbow gets a little bit raw, but it's just normally 112 and then I'm done, right? But I got to ride again tomorrow. So at about mile 70 on day one, I think it was, maybe it was day 2, I said to Jess, can you pull that Kate? I have this waterproof KT tape. I was like, can you get some and just wrap it? I'll stop, wrap it around my elbows. So when I put my elbows onto the pads, because I'm probably not the fittest athlete, so my core is moving a bit. So I'm not totally stable on the bike. And if you watch me pedaling, I sway a little bit. Where the real strong guys are basically solid. So I have like a little bit of friction on my arms, just ever so slightly, which after that amount of time starts to rub raw, and it becomes painful. So I'm like, well, I've got tape. So we put tape on, and Jess put it in the right places, and I put my arm on there, and it was fine. Actually, I think it was day 2 we did that, not day 1.
Okay. Now,
that was about it.
So I know on day 2, I saw this picture at the finish line here, and it was you right after you crossed under the arch, and you're wearing your green jacket or jersey, and you're over the bike, and you are smiling from ear to ear. I mean, it's probably one of the best pictures of the race. How would you describe that feeling that you're feeling in that picture?
Sure. I mean, it was a long day, so once that comes that last 20 miles, it was just like, oh, I can do this. It sounds dumb because you can do it, but until you do it, you don't know you can do it. So it was one of those moments. It was like an Ironman. It was like, I actually did that. And that was a big day, 171 miles. It was just a great moment because I came through. I had lots of time left, which was crazy because we were worried. We was worried going to come 11:45, maybe, make the cutoff, because you got to stay consistent. So it was always a problem. And then that wind had beaten me up, for 20 miles or however long it had taken. So it was like relief. It was excitement. And then the crew was all there and everyone was so excited. And it was like perfect. I mean, it was the sun was going down. I got in before the sun went down. So it was just a good feeling to be done and just go, wow, I've just finished day 2 of Ultraman. if you had asked me 3 weeks ago, do you think you'll get that point? I'm like, probably won't get out of the water safely, you know. So it was like, okay, I got another free day out of this. So check number 2.
Wow.
It was just hard to explain. It was a good feeling. I mean, it was a nice day.
Man, I know I got to see you at Ironman Louisville after the bike there, and I know how hard that bike ride was in 2018 because of the conditions. How would you compare day 2 of Ultraman to Ironman Louisville 2018 bike course?
Oof, that I still think that was probably the hardest. That is the hardest day I've ever had in my life. Combined, because we, as you know, we were standing in the rain, delayed in our wetsuits for 2 hours, and freezing cold. You know, the bike course itself in Kentucky is easy. It's whatever it was, 40 degrees with wet, so 35 degrees with wind for 8 hours. That just took its toll on me. Comparatively speaking, I think the Ultraman Day 2 was probably an easier ride because it was parceled out over time, and the conditions. Yes, it was long, and I never really struggled on the bike. Like I never really went, oh, my legs are killing me in Ultraman. I was just like my hands were sore and I was uncomfortable sitting in that position. But I could have probably ridden another 10 hours. Whereas in Kentucky, I feel like if there was 5 more miles, I honestly don't think I maybe could have mustered the guts to keep going. I was hanging on by an absolute thread. So it was a tough one. Kentucky was the hardest bike I've ever sitting, the hardest day. And it wasn't the bike. It's just that the conditions, as you know, it was insane. People were getting pulled left and right. And they tried to pull me off the course and I wouldn't have it. And 3 hours to go, couldn't feel a single part of my body. So Kentucky was tough.
Man.
It's a different ball game. People got to go run, but I wouldn't want to do that one again.
Yeah, I mean, here you are doing Ultraman, saying that the bike ride in one race of 112 miles is harder mentally and physically than it was doing Ultraman. Like that. Yeah. That's saying something.
Yeah. No, I mean that people. I mean, we joke about Ironman, but if you get a tough day. Boulder was very similar, except Boulder was the opposite. Boulder, we had like 110 degrees on the bike. And I know a couple of people that are serious athletes that pulled off. They just couldn't handle the heat. And, I got through that one. It was almost the same. I mean, yes, it wasn't 170 miles, but the conditions were crazy. So I think conditions can really mask the distance. Even if you did like a 50-mile bike ride, if it's 30-mile-per-hour winds and 110 degrees, that could be harder than an Ironman bike, So Kentucky was a tough one, no doubt.
Yeah. So you get done with day 2, and then you head back, and you basically are able to put your bike stuff away for a little bit, and then really focus on the run, your nutrition. What was this like as soon as you get done with the bike on day 2 and before you go to sleep? What do you do in that time frame?
So we got a massage, same thing. We drove back to the hotel. We were super excited that we got it done. Everyone was pumped, high-fiving. Hey, we got this done. We've only got a run left tomorrow. Felt good. Everything felt good in my body. I mean, I was a little sore, a little fatigued, but no aches or pains, nothing. Got back, smoothies, same thing. A little bit of dinner. I was in bed. I said, right, let's set the alarm for 4 o'clock. And we had to be out a little bit earlier this time because the run started at 6. So then I get up in the morning and my right knee is swollen. Like
really?
Wow. Yes, like totally swollen. Like, and I'm like moving it up and down, and I'm like, it doesn't feel very good. I mean, it's not like painful, but it's definitely like, I don't know, a tenth bigger than it normally is. It's not like massive, but it's not. It's done some work, and so I kind of was like, okay, I'll take some ibuprofen. No big deal. I could still walk fine. And then, we had all the run stuff, and same thing. We got, coffee, oatmeal, and then we jumped on the car and took off and went down to the race.
Wow. So you still have your same breakfast?
Yep. Same thing.
Okay. So what are you wearing for day 3? Because I know it's an obvious for day 2 is the bike jersey and bibs, where the run, you can have a little bit more freedom to kind of do something different. What are you actually wearing for day 3?
I think what I wore for day 3 is probably what's what helped me get through the race. I was very, very aware of heat. In Boulder, I got my ass kicked on the run with my little tri-suit top and no sunscreen and no way of cooling properly. And I remember telling Alan about 4 months ago, I'm like, Alan, there's just one thing you need to do for me on that run day. If you do this for me, I got a chance. If you don't, I got no chance. And that's keep me cool. What I did was I bought this, so I bought a white running shirt from Adidas, like their best, it's like a $60 shirt. And then I went to Lululemon on my coach's advice. I was like, Lululemon, isn't that like a girl's store? He's like, they have the best run shorts. I'm like, you've lost your mind, but okay, I'll go check it out. And I went in there and they've got these, I think they're called Sage. They got these running shorts that have like a very light compression underneath and then like a little light running short on the top. And I had this white Adidas shirt. And then the kicker of the whole thing that made it all work was I bought this DeSoto. I started researching what the guys do for bad water. You know, by no means is this bad water, but hey, whatever those guys are doing for bad water, if I do it in a small way, for 52 miles is my bad water. I can't run 52 miles. And if it's really hot, how am I going to get through? So I found that everyone was talking about this DeSoto top. It's basically like a long sleeve on both arms, and then it just goes like, sort of like the top of your neck, and it's no like around, and it's just almost like a shawl. And what it does is it absorbs water. So we had that. And I just said, every chance I get, I want to just cover myself in water. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what we did from within about 5 miles in.
Key point.
So I kept cool.
Key point there. Water. You put water on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. At one point we didn't, but yes. That was quite funny.
Man. So that's what you're wearing now. You're staying there at the start line of day 3. The first mile, no crew can be there. It's kind of like an obvious to just let athletes kind of spread it out or get in their own groove a little bit. But before you start, what is the atmosphere like on day 3 before you actually get running? Like, what's the atmosphere there? What do you see? What do you hear? What's it like being there at the start line of day 3 of Ultraman?
It was very surreal because, oh my gosh, what am I about to do? And everyone kind of had that look, but a lot of these people are good runners. So I felt like I was the kind of the outlier. Like everyone else, like, oh yeah, I can do it. And I was thinking, this is going to take everything I got. But it was quite funny because the race director, Chuck rocks up and he says, hey, Julian, he gives me a hug, super nice. And he's like, how you feeling? I said, oh man, I'm excited, And he looks, he goes, really? And I go, yeah. And he goes, you know what? I've hugged and said hello to every athlete. Everyone said that they're ready. You're the only one that said you're excited. I was like, well, they must give me some props, right? I was like, I'm excited to see if I could do this. It was a beautiful morning. And so everyone was excited. I think everybody was like, hey, let's go get this done. It's like, it's hard, but let's go. Let's get started. And it was evident by the start. So we had a really cool little prayer. We stood in a circle. And then this lady, Mama Jane, did a Hawaiian prayer. And everyone on the outside was taking pictures, and it was a really cool little moment. And then, and suddenly we were standing there, and I hugged my crew goodbye, and they were like, "Okay, hold the plan, stick to the plan." I'm like, "I got it." And I hadn't warmed up, I hadn't just done any stretches because my knee was sore. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go in here real slowly." And suddenly it was 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 5, 2, 1, go, and I'm running. I'm like, "Oh, here we go." So it was very quick, but it was an incredible morning. No doubt about it.
Man, so if you could sum up all the emotions and that feeling that you had right before the start of day 3, what would you say that is?
Just thrilling, absolutely thrilled to be there. Like scared, but just so excited that I'm here at day 3. Like I probably can't run 52 miles, but I'm sure as heck going to give it a go. And I have no excuses at this point not to do it. Everything's there. I mean, my crew's there, the plan's there. Everyone's ready. We're all supportive, and we're starting at 6. So let's go. It was awesome.
Man, so you get going. How does the first mile go?
Oh man, the first mile. Let me tell you how the first 50 steps went. I had planned to run 12:30 pace, and that was my plan, 12:30 the whole way, knowing that it would probably slow down to 13, maybe 14 down the ladder.
You're
stretches.
already planning on hitting about that 11:30 to 12-hour range with that pace, right?
12:30, not 11:30, 12:30.
Okay. No, I'm talking about 11 hours and 30 minutes to 12 hours.
Yes. No. We're planned on 11 hours and 40 minutes. That was the plan. And then we figured if things went south, we had 20 minutes buffer. And if things went really south, we were toast. It was never going to be a 10-hour double marathon. It was 11:30 or more. I mean, that was it. No doubts. I physically was not in the position to run that way. I've never run that way before. So that was always the plan. Yes.
Okay. So the first 50 steps.
So first 50 steps, I was absolutely gobsmacked at everyone around me because I'm thinking to myself, everyone's going to go real easy, except the pros, right? Those guys at the top, they're going to go like the wind. But like all my peers, these people that are, they're coming around me. They probably are better runners, but they're not going to be out there flying. I took one blink, and these people were doing Usain Bolt sprints down the sidewalk, and it kind of took me back because I know it's my race, but I was not expecting to be by myself within literally quarter of a mile. I was alone, but just to add to the doubts, I think at about step 7, my right hamstring just cramped, like right at the top. It just went, it like grabbed, and it grabbed enough that it was like, hey, I'm here. And I was like, oh, okay, you're here already? Like, can I just get to like a mile, please? I was just like, you can't be serious. I'm thinking to myself, and I didn't tell the crew, but I think I went right over to them and dumped my jacket, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm cramping now. Like, this is, but then I just said, okay, slow down. And everybody just took off like a bat out of hell. And I was actually running 11:50 pace at that point, and people were just leaving me. I mean, I was like, okay, I guess I'm either going to see you guys later or I'm doing this wrong, but I'm going to go with my coach and I'm just going to stick to my plan. It was completely terrifying. I was like, I don't think I'm doing this right because I'm not super, super, super slow. Those guys are not professional athletes and they're gone. Like, no one's around me.
Man.
No crew cars, nothing. It's just me and my crew.
Wow. So
yeah.
At some point, I'm sure you are aware of the term of imposter syndrome. Did you ever feel like you had that during this race?
I don't know what that is.
So imposter syndrome is basically where you, even though you're doing something like Ultraman and you're becoming that, it's like you really don't belong. You feel like you really don't belong there. Oh
yeah. So let's do that at the beginning of the swim. Actually, let's go back. Let's do that at the athletes briefing. Like, are you kidding me? You have these athletes who go, whoa, am I in the right race? Are you sure? I don't know if I necessarily think like that exactly, but all jokes aside, yeah, I mean, you look around. I've learned enough not to look at other people because I don't know their story. I don't know what they've done. Do they have a family? Do they have, a business? Have they been doing this for 2 years? The answer is most of the time no, because I know some of these guys were racing Ironman in the 90s, so I tried not to get caught up in it. But I'm not going to lie, that run, I got caught up on that run because that was shocking. It made me doubt what my plan was. Even though I love my coach, I trust my coach, and he'll wink at me and say, don't worry, we will see those people later. And he was so correct. But at the time, you're like, are you sure? Are you sure we're going to see these people later? Because you're thinking, they're gone, man. They could be finished by the time I see them later. It was crazy.
Maybe that's a caveat he put on that. You'll see them later at the briefing tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't have surprised me because if he had said that, I would have believed him. I was like, okay. So, but it's all right.
Man. So the first 10 miles of the double marathon on day 3, how is this going from a body perspective? Is your body giving you any other negative feedback aside from the hamstring?
Terrible. So I get to mile 1 and the coach Cliff joins me because he was going to pace me the first 2 hours, the first 10 miles. And he joins me and I immediately tell him, Coach, my hip is starting to hurt on my right side. I'm at mile 3. My hip is starting to hurt. My glutes are hurting. My knee is a little funny. My right foot's a little bit sore. And then my hamstring is not cramping anymore, but I feel like it's right there. It's like, it's not cramping, but it's like I'm ready to cramp whenever you're not ready. And so I tell him, I said, I need some salt. So I get some extra salt. I'm like, just give me some salt. Let me just try and camp on this. And he said something to me that I think made a big difference. He said, Julian, the first 10 miles of this race is going to take you that just to get your body into the groove. Like, you're going to feel terrible. And I kind of was like, okay, well, I feel terrible. So we're on track because I mean, shouldn't I feel good the first 10 miles? Because that doesn't make sense to your brain. Like, if you said the next 20 miles I feel bad, the first 10 I should feel my best, right? And he's like, no, because you did this bike, you haven't quite recovered, your body doesn't want to run, and, it's like starting the engine, it's cold engine, and blah, blah, blah. He says all the stuff, and I just like, yeah, you're right, okay, cool. And I remember thinking to myself, if I feel this bad already, I'm not even at 10 miles, how am I going to feel at mile 45? And the truth is, I didn't feel any worse. I actually felt, most of the race I felt fine.
Wow.
I definitely recovered after like 10 or 11 miles, for sure.
So were you getting enough water and calories in during these miles?
Yes. So Jess did a fantastic job. She had a little notebook, and because when you're running, it's so easy to stay right within where I am. There was a couple times where they were like half a mile away, but they were always within, say, 500, 600 yards. So they would give me water, Powerade, whatever I wanted drinks-wise, and then you need more water, you need more. So they would give me my salt every hour. I was getting my salt. And so they were on me for nutrition. And then a couple times they were like, you have to eat real food. And I wanted to punch somebody because I don't want to eat real food right now. But fine, give me a burrito. That's what I got to do. So I never yelled at them or anything. But I remember thinking to myself, just leave me alone. I don't want to eat. Like, I'm running and I don't want to eat. But they're like, you got to eat. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll eat. And begrudgingly, chomp through whatever they gave me. But yeah, water and salt, everything was on point. No issues at all. And then started covering myself with water as well.
So do you wish that you would have packed anything or put something in the van that you wish you would have had that you didn't?
No.
Okay, so I mean, I'm thinking like you say, you're having to eat a lot, like solid foods. You didn't have any like acid reflux where you needed Tums or anything.
No, but we had Tums. We had Pepto-Bismol. We had all this. We were so prepared. It was. We as prepared as we still had a couple things we didn't have, but we were so prepared for the shit hitting the fan, so to speak, and that it just we had it, but I never had that issue, and that's why I didn't want any more food. You start mixing too many things in your stomach, it's not good, right? So I just had no problems. I mean, they were amazing. They had the bottles already. They were juggling. They were so on it. It was amazing to see. The crew was incredible.
Wow. So you get from mile, say, 15 through the marathon. How do these miles go? Usually people hit the wall at mile 20, but you're having to actually go a double marathon on the back of all this.
Oh, we had the best strategy for this. This was another genius thing that we kind of came up with it on the fly. But the weekend, 2 weekends before that, I'd run 32 miles with Jessica. So and Alan had come down with me. I ran 5 miles. Alan rode his bike. It was pouring rain. It was freezing cold. I ran 5, came back. Jessica was at the start line. We ran the Surf City together. So I did 32 miles that day. And then, so I was like, guys, just tell me when I got 32 miles to go. So Jess is like, you got it. So I kept running. I didn't even know what mile I was at. And then all of a sudden, Jess into the corner. She goes, Julian, guess what? I go, what? She goes, only 32 to go. And I turned and I said, I did 32 2 weekends ago. We got this. So it was like, okay, forget those 20 miles because now it's just 32. I did 32 last 2 weekends ago. So, it became something that was doable. I'm like, okay, I know what 32 feels like, and just throw those other 20 out the window and just go, right, let's do 32. Now, yes, you are not quite feeling as good, but really was I? Well, was I really not feeling that good? Hey, I had my food and my drinks and stuff, and I had people with me. So, okay, I've only got 32 to go. And I was like, I can do that. As stupid as that sounds. It was critical. It was awesome.
Wow. So when did you actually get to the clay road? Because I know once you get to the clay road, there's really no shade. There's wind. It's hot. What was this like getting to the clay road?
So I feel bad not knowing that number, but I think it was like maybe mile 28 or 29, maybe 30, something like that.
Somewhere in there.
Definitely after the marathon, I believe. I was excited. Are you kidding me? That clay road is like legendary status about what people hate. I'm like, bring the clay road. Like, people hate it. I want to love it. So I'm going to go and attack the clay road. And attack the clay road, I mean, I'm going to just get through it. I'm not going to look at it like a negative. And it's like running on the surface of the sun, if you can imagine what it's like. But I didn't feel hot because I had my amazing little top, and we had the little cooling thing going. And we hit the clay road. And actually, at that point, I think Jess joined me again. And Jess and I had done some big training together. So we've got such a good relationship. We're such good friends. I mean, in a very special way. She's such a special person to me. So when we got into run, we started talking. I mean, I could tell you some of the stuff we talked about was crazy. But all of a sudden we were just talking and the miles were just going. We were just pulling the hills up. And as a matter of fact, Cliff had told Jess, move to a 4-to-1 walk plan where you run 4 and walk 1. And many times Jess like, oh, I'm sorry, I got carried away talking to you. We ran 8 minutes. I'm like, no problem. And coach was giving a hard time, like, you got to stop running because you're supposed to be 4-to-1. She's like, oh, I just kept talking and we talked about this and talked about that. So Clay Road, I just chewed that up with her. We went right through that road. No problem.
Wow.
Nothing.
Now, I know there's another picture that I saw online where somebody was holding an umbrella for you.
Ah, yes. That's my crew chief, Alan.
Yeah, so what's the story behind this picture? What was going on here?
So when Jess was running with me and Cliff was running, Alan says to me, hey, I want to run some of the Clay Road with you. I'm like, hey, no problem, because it's an iconic, it's an iconic part of the race. And he's a great runner, and he's a crew chief, so he gets to do what he wants to do. So he's like, I want to run some of the Clay Road with you. And then he said, because I have a surprise for you. And I was thinking to myself, what possibly could you have as a surprise for me at Clay Road? Like, is there an elephant I'm going to jump on and ride them some of the way? Or, I mean, what could it be, right? And so we turn all of a sudden, he's like, oh, give it to me. And what is he doing? All of a sudden, he pops open this umbrella, and he looks like Mary Poppins running down the side of this Clay Road. And it's the gay flag umbrella, the rainbow flag. And I just turned to him and I go, you got to be kidding me. And he's just smiling from ear to ear. Like, he's basically like sticking it to me, but helped me at the same time. It was classic. It was so funny. And I was like, I was thinking he's doing it more just as a gimmick, but it actually kept me cool because a couple times I was completely out of the shade. I mean, it was maybe a mile or two because the wind was really bad. So he eventually's like, I got to put it away. I'm like, no problem. But it sheltered me for about a mile or two out of the sun. I was like running in a cocoon. And it's completely legal. It's not illegal. So it was a really funny moment. I know a lot of people saw that picture. I mean, he looks like Mary Poppins. It's the funniest thing. He came up with it on his own. And if you know Alan, he's not – for him to do that, it's interesting,
Yeah.
He definitely wanted to do something funny. And he nailed it. It was hilarious.
Man, I just saw that and I was like, oh my goodness. That coupled with the smile at the end of day too, like, man. Good.
Actually, Rich Reed, you need to talk to Rich because Rich Reed, I can't say what I said, but Rich Reed was right there when he popped open the umbrella and he said, what you said was priceless. I just turned to Alan and muttered some nasty words to him. You can't be serious. And Rich was like, I nearly died laughing. It was so funny.
Oh, man. I love Rich.
Yeah, it was a good moment. Rich was great. Yeah.
Man. So let's talk about miles, say 35 through 45. What are these miles like for you?
35 to I think about, vaguely around 42 or 43. So I finished running the Clay Road with Alan, and then Cliff jumped back on, and it was it was a really tough time actually because it's kind of no man's land. You're not done, but you're way more than you've ever run before, but you're not even close to done, and the rubber starts to meet the road at that point, and we were doing the 3-to-1 walk, and all of a sudden Cliff said to me, okay, so we're gonna start a counting game. I was like, okay. He goes, I need you to count. You need to count 1 Mississippi, and you need to do it up to 50. I was like, okay. So, and then you get to walk. I'm like, okay. So I just thought. He goes, and you can every 10 you can say 10, but just in your head. So I go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and I'm running, and then so I finish the 50. So I say 50. He says, okay. So you get to walk for a minute. So we're walking, and then he goes, okay. So now we're gonna go. I want you to do Ironman. I want you to do 1 Ironman Chattanooga. And I was like, thinking to myself, oh, I see what you're doing here, you little tricky bugger. You're trying to make me think about, my races, because we went to Chattanooga, we went to Maryland. And then he was really awesome because he goes, okay, now, and so my daughter and my wife's name is Moneypenny. So then he goes, okay, so now you can do to 100, 1 Moneypenny to 100. So immediately I thought about, because I wasn't thinking about my family. I mean, are you kidding? I'm trying to think about how I'm going to survive the next 20 miles, whatever it was. And suddenly I was thinking about them, even if I wasn't necessarily like thrilled about it, but they were now in my brain. And then the next one we went to my son. My son's got his YouTube name is Cashinator. So we started talking about him. Then I started talking about him. Oh yeah, he'd be so proud. And he's like, yeah, wait till he knows what you're doing. And so he kind of tricked me, he tricked me and I didn't even realize we were running, but it was still hard. And then we switched out. I started slowing down. He's like, he was also like, we got to go a little faster. We're dragging. And I would go into little spits and starts, but it was starting to get really hard at about mile 42. But at the same time, I was also like, I've only got 10 miles to go. Are you kidding? 10 miles? We got this. But my body wasn't agreeing so much. And then Jess came in around, I keep saying 45. I think she came in at 45, 44, 45.
Okay. Now, tell me about the words, I am strong. What does that mean for you?
So I was doing my second Ironman ever in Switzerland, and I had a really bad food poisoning episode 3 days before where I basically didn't eat or drink anything leading up to that start of that race. I begrudgingly started because my kids were there. I didn't even think I was going to get out of the swim. I somehow did. I jumped on the bike, somehow went through. Anyway, long story short, I got to the run, and I was at like lap 2. There were 4 laps. I was at like 12 kilometers of the run, and my right leg started cramping really badly. Obviously, I was depleted. I mean, I couldn't really drink or eat, so I don't even know how I got through that race. But I had all these negative thoughts. I was thinking, okay, if I stop, my son and daughter and my wife or my friends are going to be like, hey, you did a good job, you tried. But I was thinking all these negative things, like they're going to say you did a good job. It was just negative. And I couldn't shake it out of my brain. It was like driving me insane. And I don't know what I did. I just muttered the words. Like, I was like, God damn it, I'm strong. Like I've done an Ironman before. And I just said, I'm strong, like one time to myself. And for that little brief second, I didn't think about, disappointing my family or my friends or my coach. And to be fair, I had food poisoning. I mean, really looking back, why would you be disappointed? I mean, some stuff happens. That's what happens in Ironman. But I felt I was close, but I also felt that I had no chance of doing it. So I just started saying this, and then I said it again under my breath. And I found that within 5 minutes, I couldn't entertain a negative thought. And suddenly I was still hurting, but I was 5 minutes further down. I was still running. And so that's something I use at every race now. When I go to dark patches on the bike, or I just start mumbling it to myself, I'll actually say it. Like I'll say, I'm strong, because you don't hear me, or I'm right next to you. You can't hear me say that. Like I'm running by you, or you're running in front of me. And so it just blocks out the negative, and it's a weird affirmation of the positive, and it works for me. It's kind of dumb, but it gets me out of those dark places. And it's more the negative thoughts. I want to be positive, but sometimes you're like, this sucks. This is terrible. Why am I doing this?
And your crew actually put that on the back of the van.
Yes.
So
I would see that. So life is good and I'm strong. So every time they went by me, I just have a little wry smile. I'm like, yep, you're right. They're right. I am strong. We're all strong, but right now I am strong. Like I'm out here doing an Ultraman of my own free will. There's people out there that can't even, walk up a set of stairs for, young people that are sick and whatever, that they just have their challenges. So forget it, man. We can do that. So it's not a cocky thing. It's just a way to just reaffirm, you know what? I've done 11 Ironman. I'm strong. I mean, I'm not fast. I'm not quick. I'm not efficient, but I'm strong. Right. And so that was on the van, and they put that on. And I actually normally put that on my hands too. I normally put the LIG and then IAS. And sometimes in my dark times, I'll forget, like to think I remember. Sometimes I forget and I'm start the negative again, and then I'll just glance over to my hand and I just have a little smile and I go, yep, you're right. And then I'll start saying it, and there goes 20 minutes, and suddenly I'm only 10 miles away or whatever. So it's a little quirky thing.
Wow. So I bring up I am strong because Jess mentioned that whenever she started getting with you, that it was very, very close, if not in predicting that you were going to come in after the cutoff, and y'all had to make up a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And y'all had started actually doing a 3-to-1 ratio and saying I am strong together. What was this like experiencing that for you?
Yeah, so excuse me. At about, I think I'll say mile 45 or mile 46-ish, Jess picks me up, so she's going to run me in. She's like, I'm running you in. I'm like, great. So, can talk to her, got lots to talk about still. But I'm struggling at this point, and she's like, I said it in my little video report, but she's basically like, hey, we need to get moving here. She's not like being mean about it. She's not like, hey, buddy, we're dead last. Like, let's move. She's like, we need to probably start moving more. And I was like, I don't really think I can. And so the first mile, we didn't say the I am strong thing. She basically just said, we need to change it. We need to change what we're doing. And you've come a long way. Basically, let's go. So I go, she said, can you give me 3 minutes? And I was like, yep. Okay, fine. So for 3 minutes, she was gonna run a pace, and she had my running watch. Everyone had my running watch. I didn't know what pace I was running. I would constantly turn to them and say, "What pace am I at?" And they're like, "Oh, you're 12:35. Oh, you're 12:30, 12:40, 12:50." So I'd asked her, and she's like, "Oh, you're at 14:40," and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And so she said that if we were gonna miss the cutoff, we were certainly going to be within 3 or 4 minutes, which I still had 6 miles, so I was probably going to get slower in my mind. Negative thoughts came up again, like, "Oh man, I'm so close. I'm going to miss it." Everyone's going to be so, not upset, but disappointed. I'm human. I don't want to disappoint my family. I'm disappointing my friends. I made myself very accountable for this race. Everybody knew, for a reason. I wanted people to see, not necessarily just from me, but like trying to take something on. Sometimes you fail. So we were running, and then we ran a good click, and then Jess was like, "Okay, that was good. Like, that was really good. Like, we got to do that again." And I was like, "Oh man, I'm not going to do that again." And then she goes, "Okay, let's do it again." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it again." So we did it one more time. And then I said this in my response. I don't remember if she said it or if I just said it, but somewhere along the way we mentioned the word strong, or "you're strong," or "you're strong, you can do this," or something like that. And I was like, "You're right, I am strong." And then I remembered immediately, hey, I should go to my chant, But just like I said in my race report, dude, that's a weird feeling. I mean, as much as I know Jess and have run with her, it's kind of dorky to be saying how you're strong next to someone that you're running with. You're like, "I'm strong." Like, "Oh, sure. You would." Like, hey, calm down there with your little big ego. You're wonderful too, Nick. You're going to tell me how amazing you are. I'm good looking. What next, right? And so it's an awkward feeling because you're like, I don't know if I should do that. But she just like almost plugged me out. She goes, "Yeah, you are." And I just started saying it like pretty loud. I mean, if you were standing next to me, you knew what I was saying. It was no garbled. And I just said, "I am strong. I am strong. I am strong." That fast. "I am strong. I am strong." It's what would finish this sentence and go to the next. And then all of a sudden, we did like 5 sets for 3 minutes. And she's like, "Okay, we got to just keep doing this." And she did something very pivotal. She started blocking the other crew away because my guys were so helpful that they kept trying to join me every 500 yards. But we had a momentum and we had something that we didn't want to stop. And she just put her hand up and said, "Stay away. Like, he's good. We don't need him. You need him. I'm good. Stay away." She was just giving them the hand, like, back off. Going, but plucking off his miles. And then it was like, "You've only got a 5K to go," or 5 miles to go. And then it was like, "You've only got a 5K to go." And the point, I knew that if I stopped, I was going to be done. I just needed to keep going. And so that's what we did all the way through the end. It was pretty cool.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, man.
It was a very unique experience with her for that hour. It only her and I will probably ever really truly understand. But I was not able to run 11:30 pace. I was running 12:30, 12:45. I've never run 11:30 in an Ironman. Like, I don't do that. I'm not a runner. I don't run a lot in practice. 11:30 at the end of an Ultraman is impossible. Mentally, it doesn't happen. Nobody. It's not like I'm a 10-minute pace guy and I'm running 11:30. So that was a very interesting. I mean, how you can, I don't really know. I don't know.
Man. So what was it like whenever you're probably about a mile out, or maybe even just a little bit less than a mile out from the finish line here, and you actually see your crew and then they start to join you to wrap up the run course with you?
So I was still a little nerve-wracking because I wasn't feeling very good. And I knew that, in Ultraman, you can't crawl, as dumb as that sounds. So if I was to go down for any reason, I couldn't crawl my way through. So I was still very aware of a mile to go, still a mile. And I was not feeling like I wanted to run a mile, but I was running it. And I was just concerned about just staying focused on not to step on anything or go wrong. And then there was one little bridge that we had to go over that was the size of a little kiddie's stool. And it looked like Mount Everest to me. I remember thinking, I've got to run up that? And it was just a stupid little hill, but at that point it was high. And once I turned around and we were about 500 yards out and I was running fine, I knew that I could just fall into the line. So it was amazing. But they joined me and it was incredible because we were all in it together. I was the one physically going through the challenges, but man, they were working hard behind the scenes. It's no joke crewing. So I was very happy. It was a very proud moment.
Man, so the last 200 meters of the run course, what is this like knowing that you're actually going to finish this, what you previously thought was impossible?
It's hard to explain. I mean, I told the guys in the morning, and this is something I really don't like to do either. I don't like to put the cart before the horse. But I did say, guys, if I'm at that mile marker and you join me, which we're going to plan on doing, if that happens, then we're all running through the finish line together. Because what normally happens is a lot of the crews will go and they'll like peel off to the side, and then the athlete runs through and finishes. I was like, no, we're not doing that. You guys are running with me. We all run through the chute together because we did this as a team. And so knowing that they were there and that they knew the instructions and we all did that, it's hard to explain. I mean, it's like the finish of something, like you basically can pretend that you're going to do it, but you don't think you did it. But you still, and that's the essence of the whole experience. It's just, go for it. And you just may be surprised to be able to run 52 miles. And after those 2 days, there's no way I could do that. That's crazy.
Man.
It's not possible.
So you finish on day 3. What's this emotion that you feel when you finish?
It's relief. Like, that's a relief, like excitement. So happy I've got it. It can never be taken away from me. The stuff that we've done, the feeling of all the people like Alan and Jessica and Juan and Cliff. Cliff has been with me. That poor guy, a coach of mine. Man, I don't know how he doesn't have just either no hair or just complete gray hairs, because I am not your typical athlete. And he doubts me, and not because he doubts me, but because he looks at the numbers and goes, these numbers don't equal the finish. But yet he goes, I don't know where, I can't measure your intangibles. And so I was proud that he was there and that I didn't fail on his regard, because he's got a perfect record. And then Alan's got a perfect record of crewing, because he normally crews really good people. And then, Juan was his first experience. I was happy he got to experience. And then, the thing that Jessica did for me, the final 5 miles basically summed up what she did the whole race. It was just as evidence. But, she started crying. She's hugged me. She's crying. I'm like, it's just crazy, It's like everyone's spent. But we all for one reason, and we leave with relationships and experiences that nothing else can take that away. It's always going to be there as long as I remember. And it always brings a smile to my face. So it's crazy.
Man. So I know y'all actually,
like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I know y'all actually get to do the award ceremony the next day, which you get to give it like a 3-minute speech, and you actually surprised Jess with something there. What was this like?
I surprised her. Oh, I surprised her. That. So Ultraman is, the essence of Ultraman is it's ohana, it's family, and it's about, sort of giving back. And when I first met Jessica and told her, I met her in November. I mean, it's a new relationship, and she's one of my TriStar teammates. And she happens to live not near me, but certainly nearer than anyone else. But when I had asked her to come crew for me, she'd said, let's see if I can get in the calendar. And then she's like, wait, what are the distances? And you normally have 2 types of people when you tell them that you're doing an Ultraman. The first person says, what are you doing? You tell them, and they go, hell to the no, never in a million years, you're insane, leave me alone. And then you have the other person that goes, that's insane. Wait, what are the distances again? So you know that they're kind of like, maybe I could do that. And I saw that in her eyes. She was like, wait, that's crazy. How does it work? How many days ago? So I start asking these questions, because they're not asking them because they're just curious. They're asking them because they're thinking, can I do this? Because you're doing it. And Jess is not a struggling student, but she's a student. She's on a very low budget. And I knew that bringing her and maybe Juan as well. I mean, Alan's the Ultraman family, and Cliff is a coach, so he's not going to do it. I thought, maybe I'll impact one person. And I knew that she would, be able to do it. And by the end of the weekend, she was glowing from just what we were doing. She was like, I can't believe you did that. I mean, that's crazy what you were doing. And she was like, in a weird way, telling me, like, I want to do this, but she doesn't have the money or the resources all the time. And I to the race director and said, I want to surprise Jessica and give her race entry, assuming she gets accepted. I'm not trying to get too cocky here, because you still have to apply. But she ticks all the boxes. She's got all the right speeds. She's a crew member, which counts for something. So by all indications, she should have a fair shot of getting in. She's no shoe-in for sure. But I went to the crew and said, look, if you give her an option, can we announce this? And I'll even give up my time, because we get 3 minutes. And I didn't, it's not, it wasn't about me. I mean, I wanted to say a quick couple words, but I would give up my time. And then another ring is that Jessica, I don't know if she told you, but she's kind of starstruck with Mary Knott. Mary Knott is this absolutely insane athlete in her team, Smash Fest Queens. Right, Smash Fest Queens?
Yeah.
And and Mary Knott is like a legend she is a legend, and she's a superhuman being. But Jessica looked up to her, still looks up to her at a very high level, like almost celebrity type status. Like when I first introduced Mary to her, she was kind of like taken aback, like, oh my gosh, that's Mary Knott. This is very sweet because she's a triathlete, she's just a human like us. But that's how Jess looked at her. So I kind of scrambled over to Mary, said, Mary, do you do me a favor? She's like, what? I go, can you get on stage and announce that Jess is going to have her stuff taken care of and that we're going to crew for her if she wants us. She wants Alan and she wants me, Kayaka, and then Juan. She's got 3. Basically, I asked Mary if she would present this award for her or present this sort of gift. And she did. And so having it come from Mary made it even more special. And she came out to the back of the hall and she gave me a hug and she was shaking. She had hypothermia. I mean, it was like 80 degrees in there. She was with like anticipation. I don't know what was running through her mind. Absolutely just looking at me like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. Do this. And there's the picture I have of her where she's sitting down and she looks like train just hit her. She's like, oh my gosh. She's got her hand on her head and it's kind of funny. It's like, it shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny. She's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And so that was it. And that's what we do. We all try and help each other. And what happens in Ultraman is, like this year, I'm running the course and I'm seeing people who are Ultraman from Hawaii who are crewing and volunteering. Yeah, really? I mean, these people are superior athletes who are out there giving us water and cheering us on because that's what we do. That's what the Ultraman family sort of does. So next year, if everything goes well, I will be there. Alan will be there. We'll swap roles and I'll be cheering Jess on and having her food done and having her cross the finish line, and something will happen or it won't, but it's just a way to give back. And then that's how we all kind of grow. I think we're all kind of just a family. And so Mary's on board and I don't know if you want to talk about what happened with Mary today, but.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I know she's going to be the number 4 crew for Jess next year.
Yeah, so we were trying to figure out to get a female crew member because, being a female athlete, there's some challenges she could have that wouldn't be necessarily easy for me to help with, or Alan or Juan. And also, changing out of the swim, stuff happens. And another thing she also needed, because she's a very fast runner, she needed a proper pacer. I could pace her through maybe the last 5 miles if she's running like 11-minute pace, but if she's running 9 minutes or something, I can't even do that. So we needed an athlete that would be able to hold her own. So in steps Mary. I message Mary and communicate with her, and she doesn't even hesitate. She's like, absolutely, I'm in. It's like, wait, really? So he has Jessica looking up to Mary, rightfully so. And now Mary, technically at the beginning of next year, will be assisting Jessica to finish this race. Like, that is insane. It doesn't, I don't know how it gets better.
Yeah. And like I was telling her, I mean, because you told me that, well, I could actually tell her during her episode, which will come out right before this episode. It's like, man, it was so awesome to actually have a surprise in somebody's episode that they didn't know about. So awesome.
Right. Yeah. It's perfect. I mean, so, most people won't understand if you look up somebody. I mean, imagine if whatever sport you do, or whatever you do, you look up to someone, you hold them in the highest regard for that particular reason. And then you're doing it, and then now they're suddenly helping you do it. It's like, it's very surreal, and it's very like, holy smokes, really? Like, she's going to take 3 days out of her life. She's got better things to do with her life, but she's like, absolutely, I'll do this any day of the week. I mean, I'm there. Wow. And I'd love to help her. Yeah. So it's like almost like a goosebump type. I messaged Jess earlier and I said, I think I got permanent goosebumps. They're not coming off.
That is awesome. So
it is awesome.
Tell me a little bit about what's next for you.
So I got Ironman Texas in, I don't know, 65 days or 58 days, something like that. And that'll be my Kona qualifying race. Trying to do the 12 to be able to enter the lottery for Kona. So I had a crash, as you know, I had a crash last year in Florida, which would have been number 12. So this will be number 12. And then I've got a break, and then I'm doing Ironman Maryland. And then I'm signed up for Ultraman Arizona in March. So what's really interesting is if Jess gets in to she'll be doing February. So we will basically do everything I just did training wise, but we'll do it together, at least some of the big weekends, because my race is going to be a month and a half after hers. So I'm going to need to be doing big weekends. I will help her because she came and rode with me. So it's going to help me. We're both training for big events, and then I'll crew for her, and then she'll be my crew chief in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah. And now she's gone through it so she didn't even realize when we were doing the training, she came over and we did an 8-hour bike ride indoors. She'd never done 8 hours. Now she's like, I can do 8 hours. I'm like, yeah, you better say that because you're going to have to do it for Ultraman. But now she's like, okay, well, you did it and this is doable. Like she went from absolute being petrified to saying, I know I could do this. I'm like, darn right, you can do this. Like, why couldn't you? It took like 3 days and all of a sudden she's like, I can do this. I'm like, yeah, you can. And now she knows she can do it, but she's just got the work to do. So it's amazing to watch. She has changed so much from her mindset in like the last 2 months. She doesn't even notice it. She's changed completely to like not that she wasn't a can-doer before. She's always seems to be a can-doer, but she's like got a new resolve. It's pretty interesting.
Man, Julian, I actually love talking with you because every time I try to ask a question about you, you end up bringing the question back to somebody else. And I love that about you, man.
Oh, thank you. I love the people I'm surrounded with. It's like it'll pinch me sometimes. I've got these people in my life. It's pretty cool because I'm, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, all my friends, even Ultraman people, like, yeah, speaking of Kentucky, for example, there was a guy who did Ultraman last year. His name's Brad. And he happened to see my little board with all my races planned. And he's, I'm friends with him. I don't really communicate with him much. And he just reaches out to me out of the blue one day and says, hey, you're coming to Kentucky for the Kentucky Ironman. I'm like, yep. He's like, do you have anywhere to stay? I was like, no, I'm going to get a hotel. He's like, you want to stay with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he opens up his house to me because he knows I'm coming. He doesn't really know me very well. And, we're good mates and we're doing some races together this year. But he just reaches out and says, you want to save a few dollars. And it wasn't even about the money. I was like, yeah, I said, if I spend time with him, his family, his dog, at his house. And it's just crazy. Like these people are just coming to me and why are they doing that? But, we do it both ways. And then he came out on the course and cheered me on, in the middle of those dark water spots where it was pouring rain. He'd pop up on the bike and no reason other than just, hey, let's go out there and support.
Wow.
So it's pretty unique. It's a unique sport we do.
It is. So I know we talked on the phone earlier about the DECA. Are you still doing that?
Yes. Okay, so that's what's next. So Ultraman Arizona, and then I got accepted. I got accepted as as the last athlete, number 10 it's called the Epic DECA in Hawaii, and it's 10 Ironman races in a row, and 5 islands. So island number 1, we do 2 Ironman 2 days, and then we fly, and then we do 2 Ironman the next day. And then we finish in Kona. So the last Ironman is the full Kona course. We do the whole Kona course. So it'll be interesting. It'll be prep because that'll be my 10th. If everything goes well, I'll be doing number 10 that day. And then the following year, I'll be submitted for the Kona lottery. So I'd like to do Kona in 21. And then I'm really not sure. So as far as I've got. Next year is all big year.
Wow. So after you do Kona, it seems like your Ironman days you don't really have to do anymore. You'll have this DECA done. You'll have Ultraman done. You'll have Ultraman Arizona done. You'll have all of these races done. What's going to be after that?
Maybe I'll develop my own race.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What do you have in mind?
I love Ultraman. I'm from South Africa. You put those two together. Can you imagine an Ultraman in South Africa? So
well,
I don't really. I'm kind of joking. That's just I'm just throwing it out there. But I don't know. I don't look at it as an end. I just look at it like, who knows? Maybe I'm starting to enjoy running. I never used to like running. I'm kind of liking running, and I also know that I can be a very good runner because I'm 20 pounds overweight, and I'm starting to get down. I'm actually down to like 142 right now. I'm losing weight, and I'm really like taking my fitness to a new level. So maybe I could be a good runner, and if I could be a good runner, maybe I could do the West, 100 Mile Key West. And I don't know. I think I I don't disparage Ironman by any means, but Ironman is by no means a challenge anymore. It's like I could rock up, not train for 6 months and go finish. So what I would like to do is in Texas, I'm going to hopefully get a PR, which would be kind of fitting to get a PR at my final race to qualify, which is it's not a big deal. It's just less than 14 hours, which I should be, barring no dramas. And a couple of Ironman I do will be more closer ones, and I'm going to start going hard. So like I was planning on, I might be doing Arizona. Arizona might be on or might be off at this point. But if I rock up at Arizona, I'm going to swim as fast as I can. I'm going to bike like a maniac, and I'm going to run like this. I'm going to red line the whole way. And if I crash out and burn, then I'll just throw the rest away. And I may surprise myself and maybe getting some good times. And so that's basically it. At the moment, I'm not looking further than the Deca. So Ultraman Arizona, the Deca would be, so next year would be the big challenges.
Man, so in 2020, you could do comrades with me.
2020 is the Deca.
Well, I mean, that would be a good training day for that. I mean, you just bring your bike and do something the day before.
First of all, no. But actually, now that you mentioned the comrades, I was thinking about this last night. What would be a fantastic ultra marathon to finish for Ultraman Durban? The comrades.
Yes.
And we could swim in Midmar Mile, which is the Midmar Dam, which is the biggest swim race in the world. So we have it all, so wouldn't that be cool? No, I'm not doing the comrades in 2020 just because I'll be doing Ultraman Arizona in March. And then, but at some point I'll be watching you because I watch the stream on TV, and I will be rooting for you. It'll be an amazing experience, and I'm going to help you because I got lots of friends there. So I'm going to connect you up when we get there. Yeah,
it's going to be awesome. Like I've already started saving for it. Like 2020 is my first time to do it, which is the 95th anniversary. And then
is it the down or up?
It'll be the down year.
Okay.
Because this year's the up year, and then in 2025 I want to do the up year, which would be the 100th year anniversary. Like
that one you can pencil me in for.
Man, like the 100th year anniversary, like
that's crazy.
It's already a humongous event, but the 100th anniversary, oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, you pencil me in for that. I'll give you a commitment on that right now that I'm pretty much into that unless I'm not around.
Man,
I mean, it's 5 years away. That's plenty of. I mean, and I like to go home and stuff. So
yeah. Well, man, it's been great talking about this race. I know we've talked so much. Thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed this. And to wrap up the episode here, I always ask a unique question. You've already answered that one once. So now then it's the different question that's in order of importance for you on race day. How would you put these in order? Mental grit, nutrition, or endurance? You
mean which is three?
Putting them in order of importance for you.
Importance. Mental grit number 1, nutrition number 2, endurance last.
So fitness is last because of why?
Last, because of your brain. I mean, if you're talking about times and stuff, but to get through a finish, you can wing your fitness if you can convince your body that. You convince your brain that you can do it. I think that your brain has got so much more power to, again, find little tricky ways to do stuff. It's not going to be easy and you will suffer. But if you can have all the endurance in the world, I've seen it. You can have all the endurance in the world, the best nutrition, and you can be a weak mental athlete and you're toast. You find that first hurdle comes in your way, you're out. And you fold like a little butterfly. I mean, the amount of people that I've seen not finish races, and you go, what? Oh, well, it was hot, so I stopped. I'm like, yeah, it was hot for me too, dude. It's supposed to be hot. And so mental is huge. And you should ask my coach that question because I think he goes, yeah, there's definitely no physical endurance with Julian. He's got 95. And it's not, I don't say I'm a mental juggernaut, but I just have a stubborn, tenacious way to just deal with the pain. Real quick story. I was running with Jessica on the first time we did the marathon, and her feet, she was running really slowly because she's normally a fast runner. So when you run slowly, as you know, it's more impactful.
Yep.
And so we hit like mile maybe 12, 13, 14. And she goes, God, my feet. So I was like, okay. I was like, do you want to stop? And she's like, no, I'm just, they're killing me. I was like, okay. So I said, well, they're going to stay killing you. She's like, what? And I'm like, this is the pain. So just embrace it and just know that it's going to be like this the rest of the race and just welcome it. And she's looking at me kind of like, this is kind of weird, but okay. And I said, it's not going to change. It might get a little bit worse, but if you're already hurting your feet, it's going to hurt a little bit worse. And when we finished, she was like, yeah, it pretty much stayed the same. I just got used to dealing with the pain. You can't keep going on about it. It is. Just suck it up and deal with it because it's going to end soon. And, if you have to stop, you stop. I would never put myself through a bad injury, to do a finish line. A race means nothing to me in that regard. But most of the time, the people that have quit races or stopped, and you've probably seen this at Ironman because you volunteered a lot, you go back and you ask those people that stopped at mile 18 or mile 19 of the run because they had a blister. You go back a month later and say, could you have gone on? And they'll all look at you and say, damn, and I can't believe I did this.
Yep.
And it was just a mental game. It wasn't the blister. It wasn't the back. It was, they were fine the next morning. It was, they just didn't have it at that point. We all do for various reasons, but that's way more important than endurance.
Right.
Way more.
Man, well, Julian, I just have to say thank you so much for coming on and working with me on the scheduling of this episode, because I know it wasn't easy on either one of our ends finding this little window of time where it overlaps. And I know you got up really early in the morning to do this. Thank you.
No, I never got up. I've been up.
Oh, you just never went to sleep.
I was up from 9. I went from 9 till 3, and then came back, got a coffee, and then waited for you to finish with Jess, and here we are. I didn't sleep.
Oh my gosh, you have got to get some sleep, man.
That's all right. I'll be good.
Man, well,
I really appreciate everything that you do as well, and I'd like you to maybe talk to Jess about some ideas to get get your blog post out more, because a lot of people don't know about your blog post, and I think. Like I listened to Jamie Harris's interview, and I listened to Chris. I get something out of everyone. Some of them I kind of roll my eyes at too. I'm like, wait, they do what? But then sometimes we're all individuals. A lot of the times I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Like I'm going to start incorporating that. And I'm never close to doing that because there's bound to be a better way to be a little bit better prepared. And so your podcasts are great too, and we have to get them out more. So
yeah, I mean,
we're going to try.
I've started getting a little bit more out on Instagram. I've tried to get like just a little bit more and a little bit more. I mean, I've been overwhelmed by how many people have just started following me on Instagram. I mean, I'm almost to like 5,800 people on Instagram. I mean, I don't know what it is right now, but
wait till the Jessica interview goes live. Then you're going to see another 500-600 in an hour.
I mean, I don't mind. I mean, because I feel like anybody, regardless of if you're a pro or finishing at the back of the pack or even DNFing, you can always take something away from somebody else's experience. So,
oh, absolutely, and it's daunting when you're going for the first time. I don't shake a stick at that stuff because you don't know if you can do it. You could train all you want, you don't know. And so when you listen to these race reports, you realize that these people are just humans, and they just you can kind of sort of be in their shoes sometimes. And I think it's great. You just need to get it out more because it's great information. And some of it's some you can't take everything, but some of it's good, some of it's bad. But it's our individual experiences. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Julian, thank you so much.
You so much.
And I look forward to following you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I will. I know I'm going to be seeing you soon. So
yeah, I'll be down in Texas volunteering.
That's right. We'll definitely catch up for coffee or something.
Yeah, man. Sure. You have a good day.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoy the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.